Hi and welcome to another YouTube video. In today's video I built something using every single item in The Sims 4 Paranormal Stuff Pack, or Happy Haunts, or Love to Knit, or whatever you want to call it. And while I was putting down these items, I noticed that they are kind of divided into two styles. One style that is very fitting for old, haunted, abandoned houses or mansions, and the other half of the style that would be very fitting for a circus or maybe a campsite of some Roma or something like that. And so I kind of thought of a little story to combine the two styles, and that story was that there was a very grand and beautiful old mansion that was very well kept and owned by a rich family. And one day something very mysterious has happened that isn't solved until this day, and this mysterious thing is that the family was just dead one morning. At the day before everything seemed fine, but the next day they weren't fine anymore, and they weren't anymore, and nobody knew why, because there was no signs of entry into the house. The house seemed totally fine, no signs of fire or earthquakes or anything. And so this death was very mysterious, and ever since that day this house was said to be haunted and was left abandoned ever since then. But now, about 100 years after the incident, a group of very talented paranormal investigators has set out or set camp in front of this mansion and is determined to solve the mystery of what happened to this old family. And I have to say, I had such a blast building this. It was such a good time. I also would say this was kind of a lucky build for me, because so many great things happened while I was building it. For example, I got a grade for one of the last courses that I have to do for my bachelor's degree, and that grade was a 1.0, so the best note that there is to get. So I was super excited about that, and so I've got that done now, which made me super happy, and that happened while building this. And also I had some awesome conversations and time with my little sister talking while building this, and also with Miss Unfortunate. We also had an awesome conversation that I really enjoyed, and all of that together just made this a wonderful experience and brought me lots of inspiration. In general, the items from this pack and the whole building process really brought back my building inspiration that I was kind of struggling with during the last few weeks. So I was super happy to have back my inspiration, and that got me super motivated. So just all around an awesome time. Oh yes, and another great thing that happened was that I reached 3 out of the 4 goals needed to reach affiliate on Twitch, which is super exciting. And I also will be streaming very shortly after this video goes live, and I'm streaming every Sunday 6 p.m. Central European Time. So if you would go and check out the link to my Twitch in the description, it would mean the world to me. Thank you so much. But yeah, back to the video. So this was actually the second time that I have done this. I have also done this. I use every item in this pack for the last few release, and especially the Nifty Knitting release, which was also a stuff pack. And it was so interesting to compare these two, because it was so much harder and challenging in Nifty Knitting, because in that one there were a lot of craftable items who were all kind of saved as a different item. So I had to use every single of the hanging plants and every single swatch of them in every different height. So lots and lots of hanging plants, and also different couches and seating stuff that were all saved in different swatches. So I knew that I needed, I think, 4 different living rooms. which was crazy. So I needed to do like a very multi-family home stuff. But with this one, they were all saved as one item with different swatches, so that made it a lot easier to get everything into place, and it was lots of fun and also not as challenging as I had expected, which is always nice. And I have to say, I had so much fun decorating these little caravans because I imagined different people living in them, and all of them had slightly different styles and personalities. So in one build I got to do so many different styles and color themes, and that made the decoration and the interior design part so much fun, because usually I have like one big build and it all is owned by the same family and it all has the same cohesive style because it should have to make sense, and so then I kind of get bored of this style after half the build. But with this build, there was so much change in style and color scheme and all of that. And I really want to do another trailer park or campsite build because this was a lot of fun. And also the style that these caravans had is one that I had never really used before, this boho style. I don't think I made a build like this yet, so it was so much fun to do. And for the cute red tent that you saw me building in the beginning of this whole campsite process, I need to give a huge shout out to Simproved, who gave me the inspiration and kind of showed the way she did it in one of her videos that I'm going to link in the description, and showed how she did it in the Speedbuild, and that really gave me the direction that I needed. I needed to change a lot about it because the way she did it wouldn't work here, because I had a taller wall height in the first floor of the estate, so I also needed that for the caravans and the tent, and that made the whole roof trick not work. But I found a way around it and made my own version of her tent, and I was super excited about the result in the end, and I hope you like it too. And then I got to the landscaping, and the landscaping was by far the most fun part of this whole build, because in my head this estate or mansion used to be very neat and proper and grand. So they would have had like at least 1 or 2 gardeners that would take care of this grand palace garden. It's not a palace, like the mansion garden, and they were really rich and it all would have been neat and proper. But now this is very old, like this has been abandoned for 100 years, so it wouldn't be as neat and proper anymore. So you maybe think I overdid it with the landscaping, but for me it was very important that there was not much of the ground showing, like nothing of the grass that looked like kind of neat and well kept, and I wanted all of it to be overgrown. And it was such a fun challenge to do landscaping that looks like it has a base that is very neat and organized, but then add some chaos and overgrownness to it, which results in this that you are probably going to see very soon. And I love this mixture of the chaotic and neat, and I think it worked really well in this landscaping. I was really happy with it. Of course, like, you can always criticize and do stuff better. I also know that, and I think for the looks alone it would have looked better if it wouldn't be as overgrown and overdone as this landscaping maybe is. But for the story I thought it worked very well, so I hope you like it too. And usually when I do big terrains and landscapes like this, I usually like to close it off with some rocks or big trees to make it look like a whole, like this is the lot and these are the boundaries and the rest of it doesn't fit or it doesn't matter. And that's actually a technique that I learned from Miss Unfortunate, so huge shout out to her again. She is very close to reaching 1,000 subscribers and she's just awesome, so please do me a favor and check her out. But yeah, anyways, what I was about to say was that I actually didn't use that technique this time, because once I moved all of this to a bigger lot in Windenburg, I kind of fell in love with the surroundings of this island and all of the trees in the background, and it was already kind of like rocky and it was very fitting for the build, so I didn't see a need to close it off. And that's very nice and very rare that that happens, that especially with builds like this that are a little bit like less ordinary than your typical Sims build. I also wouldn't say that it's like super unique, innovative and new, but it's not blue suburban. And nothing is wrong with blue Suburbans. Like, I love blue Suburbans, they are beautiful. But what I was trying to say is that with builds like this, these that aren't like your ordinary Sims build, you don't often find a lot that fits the vibe that you're going for perfectly, but with this one I did, and it made me super happy, and so I didn't need to close off the surroundings, so that's why I didn't do it. And I talked like, I don't know what that just was, but yeah. And now we get to the furnishing and interior decoration of these different caravans that they are placed around the campsite, and it was so much fun to give all of them their own color scheme and style and items that they would like and use and need, and yeah, all of that. So I had a lot of fun with it, and it would be super interesting to me if you could let me know in the comments which ones of these little caravans or even the tent you would like the most. So that would be interesting to me to know, like, which style would you go for. And then I made one of them kind of a community center where they have a bar and lots of chairs and sitting opportunities, and they can all come together and, like, I don't know, play cards or just talk. And I thought that was really neat to have in this camp, and I just had so much fun with it, also with decorating the center in the middle, to have some music playing and some benches and the opportunity to buy some food, and then have this fireplace in the middle, and also this big item from Paranormal Stuff that I don't know what it does yet because I haven't touched the gameplay yet. I have only just built with it, so maybe it has a very weird use and it's going to be a problem for that campsite, but I just loved the look of it, so I used it. And I was just really able to imagine a very happy community life of this group of paranormal investigators that would just like come together in the evenings and hang out and be like just a great group of people, of friends that try to solve this mystery together. I just thought that was like, there was a nice vibe coming off of this camp, and it was so fun to contrast it with this like big haunted abandoned mansion that at this point was more like a set piece in the background, to kind of give this all a setting. And I have to say, it kind of remained a set piece. The big mansion in the back isn't it isn't functional, because I really went all in with the abandoned style. I didn't leave the interior like just bland. As you're going to see, I spent a lot of time and care to make it look like very mystical and abandoned and old and very filthy at some places. And it was also so much fun. I used the same technique that I used in my abandoned Victorian mansion video, that I was tilting the furniture so that it looks like there were some legs missing on the piano, for example, or just has been tilted while somebody was searching for something in the mansion. All of that, and there were just lots of great opportunities to use some of the the items, even though some items are also placed kind of randomly because they just needed to go there, like all of the different puddles with the faces. And yeah, so not everything is at a place where it makes sense, but some of the items are, and I love how I was able to incorporate some of them, because one thing is that when I was doing the furnishing, I placed hands coming out of every single like a drain or pipe in the house, like the toilets and some of the bathtubs and the sinks all have hands coming out of them, and I thought that it was so creepy, and I loved that idea, so I did it. So you will see all of that in more detail in the slightly longer cinematic tour that I'm going to have at the end, because I spent a lot of time on this build, and so I had a lot of footage, and I cut out the initial furnishing of this huge mansion to be able to show you the process of turning all the furniture, because I thought that's slightly more interesting and fun, because you don't see that in every speed build, so how someone basically ruins the functionality like I did, but there was already a functional campsite, so I didn't feel the need to make it functional. But if you feel like you really like the exterior or the shape of this abandoned haunted mansion, I posted this with the hashtag #FixTheUpper, so that if someone feels the calling to make this really beautiful and undo the damage that was done by these 100 years of abandonment, that would be awesome. Like, just go ahead and take this exterior, and I would be glad if you could do something grand with the interior, because I think it has a lot of potential, but I also thought this potential was used well with this old spooky abandoned look. And with that, this build is almost complete, and we are about to go into the cinematic tour, and I want to thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed and liked watching me build this, and if you would consider subscribing, you would make me super duper happy. I hope we'll see each other again.